6'4", we signed up, but obviously not. But you can see by the agenda, I think most of you have got one, what we aim to talk about, and it's just to keep you informed of everything which is going on. And I must say that at any point, if anyone has got any questions, please feel free. It's an open forum, it's your forum to ask, and we'll answer them as honestly and as definitely as we can. So that's the introduction. Welcome, as I say. We'll move on to item 2, the club objectives and plans, and I'll ask Paul Miller, the Vice Chairman, to carry on.
Thank you. I think I've probably been well documented in saying that it's almost like a new era for the club, and that we've kind of through our own board meetings given ourselves short, medium and long-term goals, and I think that's probably the fairest way of doing it. So just really prepared a little bit here. Again, if I give you the 3 short, medium and long-term goals, if anyone's got any questions, just leave it till I've read them all out, because obviously the next objective might actually answer the first one. Generally speaking, as a whole, we obviously need to make the club financially sustainable and financially supporting itself, which is the key thing. Ever since I've been here, not particularly because of me, but people that have been involved in the club have put their hands in their own pockets. And as a business, I think we all feel it really should support itself through its own means, which is more than capable of doing. So we just need to have the things in place to make that happen. So in terms of our short-term goals, the club really is looking, like I just said, to stabilise its finances. We've paid off a lot of old debt, which is obviously it's good that we paid it off, but at times it's put the club under pressure. But I think it's fair to say that we're kind of coming through that and coming through to the end of it, which is then putting the club in good stead for the future. The key thing really is that we really want to provide a good standard of football to our supporters, and I think that's important that we do that within our own financial constraints. 2 things there really is, I think we all feel strongly that the style of football that's played here is entertaining, and that we don't break the bank to do that, because again, we see it every week. I think with clubs going bankrupt. I think the latest was Truro, that allegedly got debts of 700,000. So we don't particularly want to go down that route if we can help it. So we feel quite strongly about that, and obviously Steve's an important part of what we're doing. But basically, as a small business, we kind of put together a business plan to enable the club to slowly prosper whilst remaining solvent. We won't succeed until and unless we have sustainable finances, and that means a reliable and predictable revenue stream. So we need to know, really, almost as a business plan, if you like, where we are going to be in 10 months' time, for example. So we can kind of plan for example, I think, again, it's fair to say that during the Christmas period, if the games don't fall right for us like they did last year, obviously with players' wages and staff wages and everything we pay, things do get a little bit tight. So we're in a much better position than we have been in the past in terms of predicting and allowing for those things to happen in the future. In terms of the club ownership, which I know people have spoken about, Parmount Holdings, which is a company that's been set up by the current board of directors, is effectively the majority shareholder of Wimborne Fans Forum Club Limited. The reason for setting that up was to allow other shares and supporters and sponsors to get involved as shareholders in the club indirectly. Obviously, Parmount Holdings being the main shareholder, obviously they get to make the decisions. So that's something that was touched on quite only lightly really during the course of the season. We actually got our knuckles wrapped from the FA, believe it or not, because you're not allowed to advertise these things, but there is shares available in the Parmount Holdings company. It's nothing untoward, it's just that we found ourselves in a position where even the current board of directors weren't actually, we couldn't make a decision example, we basically couldn't agree on anything. We couldn't agree to do it. We didn't have enough shares amongst us to make the decision, for example, to allocate more shares to set up. Which obviously is a good way of raising money. So we've addressed that, and the holding company now is actually the majority shareholder of the club because we've acquired other people's shares. Medium term, we've been investing quite heavily in the youth setup. A lot of you have probably seen in the local press that they're doing really well. A lot of that is to do with the infrastructure that we've set up that's really come from Steve and going down. Steve's working closely with obviously the under-18s manager and the reserve team manager, and also that's filtering right the way down to even the under-8s. So bar one team, I think, we've actually got age groups now from 8 right the way up to under-18s, and obviously the reserves. So a child can come to Wimborne Football Club, play for the club from the age of, so I say 8, I think it's actually 6. They can play from the age of 6 right the way through to first team football, should they be good enough or want to. I think it's important for two things really. One, obviously the revenue that the youth bring in with their parents coming in for a drink, etc., etc. And also obviously long term, hopefully we can bring players through, which initially will help Steve with his budget. So we're all working hard at that, and we've got to buy a new trophy cabinet from them because they filled that one up. So I think the important thing I find with it is the fact that they all do pretty well. It's all just got good publicity for the club, and I'm sure the supporters, you've probably seen, they might be a little bit noisy in your ears sometimes, but when you see the kids turn up and they're supporting the club, that there are supporters for the future. They potentially could be our players for the future. Young Charlie can get his dad to come along and buy a burger and a packet of crisps and a cup of tea, and it's all generating money for the club, which we're also trying to encourage as much as we can. So that's that. Obviously, consequence of that, again, some of you might have seen, I think it was the Dorset Senior Cup final. Steve drafted in a few of the players there, Ben Morgan in particular. So it's definitely got a benefit to the youth setup as well. Steve has also set up a college course with Paul in Bournemouth College, where we have 15 students coming here. It's a long-term plan. I think, is it for 3 years? At least 3 years. We intend to carry on. Yeah. So we've got 15 students studying here full-time from September. They'll study probably in here, and then they go outside for football training. So that's on a daily basis, 4 days a week actually. So that's something, again, the club's been looking at, and should we progress to a new ground or whatever, then that's something we've already basically sowed the seed that's going to take us further on into the long-term prospects of the club. Long-term, given the infrastructure of the work over the next 5 years, if it happens before then it does, long-term we obviously hope to establish ourselves certainly at this level, and possibly even the Southern League Premier level. We're all of the opinion that if we were to progress, and we were given the chance to progress, and the club would progress with that. So we feel the current setup that we've got will enable us to play Southern League Premier football. That includes the ground. The ground grading is absolutely fine for Premier football. So if we go that way, then the directors won't stop that from happening. We're maybe not as vocal as our neighbours, but we're definitely ambitious in taking the club forward. Some of you might have seen up the back there, there is plans, although I will stress that they're not actually the finished product, and I think there has been an upgrade since those have been printed. But the new ground, which we will bring up later, so I won't dwell on it here, but given the green light on the new ground, then that will actually give us the facility and the infrastructure to take the club to Conference League status. And I would suggest, realistically, from a financial point of view, then that's probably achievable within 7 to 10 years. So hopefully we'll be able to see that. The key thing to all of this happening is the continued support of our supporters and sponsors. And something we'd like to talk about later is volunteers. So that's the plans for the club, short, medium and long term.
Well, Paul, thank you very much. Has anybody got any questions on those points?
Just one how are we with the VAT debt? Is that all clear now?
The VAT is,
VAT or the tax?
well, that will come up in the financial position, I guess. Will it, Ken, or do you want to answer
Well,
that?
it's a very relevant question because our VAT bill is due this week. Thanks for reminding me, Brian. We have no outstanding VAT debt as of today to HMRC. Next week it might. No, we have none today.
Okay.
That's you're right. Yeah, I'm not being flippant. It's all been paid off. Yes.
Anybody else got any
Are
questions?
the entrance fees going up this season?
Yes, they will be, yes. To, I believe, it's £9. And senior citizens up to
Five.
Ken's
Five.
isn't
Yeah.
it? Five.
If they go to the new ground, will they provide transport links? Is important because it's a long way out. If it comes about, the new ground, I'm not just mentioning this, that when they build a new ground, if it goes ahead, will they make allowances for support? Because a lot of them don't drive, got a lot of elderly fans, so they have a job to get there. If it's going to be where they say it's going to be.
Where do you think it's going to be?
Well, you told me that it's going to be out sort of, I don't know where the exact position, but it's on the way towards Camden Bottom, isn't it?
Yes, no, it's probably no further away from Wimborne than this. It's about
There is a, yeah, I mean, one way of solving that, if the company are willing, is to ask them to beef up the 88 bus service
that's what
Yeah,
I'm
on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
I'd like to think there's no. First and foremost, we would never let anyone down, so they couldn't get there. But something that we've discussed in the past is possibly getting a little minibus up together and doing a little run around, and that's quite feasible because again, the need for a minibus is becoming stronger and stronger again with the youth teams. So I think, given that it's going to be probably at least 3 or 4 years if everything was to go ahead very quickly, but we'll get onto that later. But we certainly wouldn't let anyone down, and I think that we could either talk to the bus company or we would maybe provide free transport ourselves.